US Supreme Court strikes down Jerusalem passport law. Former French president speaks out against boycott of Israel. EU calls on Israel not to demolish an unauthorized Palestinian village. Israeli NGOs battle over call for asylum for Eritrean migrants. Shalom and welcome to the Jerusalem Post News. Here are the top stories for June 9th. The US Supreme Court on Monday struck down as unconstitutional a congressional law that authorized placing Israel on passports of Jerusalem-born Americans.
So the court's decision in Zivotofsky versus Kerry today confirms the long-established authority of the president over the conduct of diplomacy and foreign policy. The decision also respects his ability to ensure that his determinations regarding recognition are accurately reflected in official documents and diplomatic communications, including in passports. So that's our reaction to the decision announced this morning.
Seeking to remain neutral on the issue of sovereignty over Jerusalem, the State Department allows passports to name the city as the place of birth, with no country name included. Ari and Nehemi Zivotofsky, the American parents of 12-year-old Menachem Zivotofsky, had waged a long court battle to have their son's passport state he was born in Israel.
I'm an Israeli, and I want people to know that I'm glad that I'm an Israeli and that I'm not embarrassed by the fact that I'm an Israeli.
Okay.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy condemned any support for boycotting Israel's democracy during a meeting with President Reuven Rivlin in Jerusalem on Monday.
Vous savez que nous venons ici en amis, dans un pays que j'aime profondément. Et je voudrais vous dire combien nous condamnons, sans équivoque possible, toute idée de boycott à l'endroit de la démocratie israélienne.
I really think that words should be said that boycotts or pressure, international pressure, appealing to the international organization could not bring us to the possibility of bringing to an end this tragedy. Only by direct negotiation we can achieve that.
The European Union on Monday called on Israel not to demolish the illegal West Bank Palestinian village of Susia.
We very much hope that this doesn't go ahead and that rather these communities are given the possibilities to develop their economies, to develop their existence over here. I think, as you can see, they lead very rudimentary lives. We provide humanitarian assistance. We shouldn't need to provide humanitarian assistance.
Tents and shacks in the village in the South Hebron Hills are home to some 340 people. The fate of the village is now before the High Court of Justice, which is examining a petition by Rabbis for Human Rights with regard to a master plan it prepared that could allow for the legalization of the structures. The court, however, failed to approve an injunction to prevent the demolition of the village during the judicial proceedings. And a UN Human Rights Council report on Eritrea has recommended that countries with Eritrean migrants grant them asylum. The report warns these countries against, quote, sending them back to danger in a country that punishes anyone who tries to leave without permission. The Hotline for Refugees and Migrants and a range of other pro-migrant Israeli NGOs called on the state to formally recognize Eritreans and Israel as a group which, under the current circumstances, must be granted asylum. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the Center for Migrant Policy said the information in the report doesn't justify a generalized recommendation to treat any Eritrean national who left the country as a persecuted individual. And that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with more news from Israel. Until then, shalom from the Jerusalem Post studio.